Hi everyone, and welcome back to the Starting Lineup podcast. I am your host, Andy Davis, and in episode 2, we are doing our all-time World Cup starting 11. So, my guests who I'll bring on in a minute, we're each going to go through player by player and assemble our ultimate World Cup starting 11. Now, our guest, he is a NFL content creator. He is a podcaster. With me today is England and Manchester United fan, Skye Pank. Skye, how are you? Good to have you on, mate.
I'm good, Andy. Thanks for having me on. Really glad that this idea of yours has come to fruition because it's a great one. Obviously, had a great first episode for the FA Cup final and honoured to be on for the World Cup. At the time of recording, we're 24 hours away from kickoff?
Yeah. Is it? I can't think whether the game's on at 6 or 8 p.m. tomorrow.
I think it's 8.
8 p.m. So yeah, literally like an hour, a day and an hour away. This podcast may or not be released before or after that game, but certainly, World Cup fever is here. I think the more the kind of the weeks have gone on, the more I've got excited. Seeing the clip of the ITV intros got me really excited. Doing a sweepstake at work, really, really exciting. Not so much who I got. I got Turkey.
Who'd you get?
Turkey. So. No,
Yours is Arda Güler. Get your Arda Güler Real Madrid shirt.
No, I'm not going to buy a Madrid shirt. But I remember there was the Euro 2008. I was really behind Turkey. Something about them that tournament, I really got behind Turkey. So hopefully, similar sort of vibes, and they get to the semi-final once again. But I'm not holding my hopes on that. But yeah, before we do go on to our starting 11s, quick questions from you, Skye. First of all, what is your first World Cup memory?
Someone at work actually was talking about this the other day. I showed my age by referencing the '98 World Cup. The two things but more that you watch things over the year and you're like, is that actually what I remember? But Beckham's free kick against Colombia and then the red card, obviously that one with the Owen goal, Sol Campbell getting a header wrongly disallowed. England always getting decisions against us in tournaments. We won't dive into that though. So maybe that one. But then the one that I vividly remember is the England-Brazil, South Korea, Japan tournament when we lost 2-1. The Ronaldinho goal. And the thing that a lot of people forget is Brazil were down to 10 men for the last half an hour. Ronaldinho was sent off. So I remember going into school. Yeah. I remember going into school at 9 a.m. because my dad let me watch it at home. And I had the St. George's cross bleached and painted like a silly 10-year-old. It was painful getting, jibed all day about how we lost to Brazil. And I would say that tournament is the one because I was about 9 or 10 then. So I remember that clearly. And that England-Brazil game stands out because they went on to win it, and it was another missed opportunity for the golden generation.
That's incredible. That's actually my first World Cup memory as well. I was only, I've been 3 or 4 when the '98 World Cup was on. But my first memory, I think, of just football in general is that World Cup in 2002. I think you think about. I always remember vividly the reaction when Rivaldo did the dive against Turkey in the semi-final. Like you, I remember watching the England-Brazil game. Like you, I got to watch it at home as well, but they were showing it in our school as well. Not sure why, considering it's in Wales, but they showed that game. I remember literally in school playing football on the Friday. One team was Germany, one team was Brazil for that final. I remember watching that final. Yeah, that's my first real memory of football in general, and certainly, the World Cup. I remember the first game I remember really was we were on a holiday in Tenby, and I remember we heard Robbie Keane's goal for Ireland against Germany, but I remember watching on a really, I had to connect the TV in the caravan to the car engine, which is mad thinking about it now. Watching England-Sweden, funny enough, I'm wearing a Sweden jersey. Sol Campbell's goal. In that game, I think it was
1-1 or 2-2.
Yeah, the Beckham goal against Argentina, the penalty, the redemption. That's really similar kind of time to you.
I stopped myself mentioning that, but that is probably one of my favourite World Cup memories, that Beckham penalty. Because, like I said, I do loosely remember the drama around '98. And when I say that, United, I probably remember a bit 96, 97, and I do remember bits of that '98 World Cup. But I think that's mainly overshadowed by, I guess, anyone my age. How old does that sound? The thing is, where were you when the Ronaldo news dropped in that 98 final? And I remember being indoors and like we had a few of our neighbors over and it was like, what's going on? You know, Brazil, France, best player's not there, or at least might have been there physically, but whatever happened that day he didn't show up. So yeah, but 0-2 for both of us then in terms of what we remember a bit more clearly. And yeah, it was a good tournament, especially with Korea. The host got to the semis.
Yeah, that's a bit iffy in my opinion. That
Don't start a conspiracy.
I don't think it's even that. I think the referee got done for match fixing. I think that referee. It's all a bit fishy. The Italy game, the Spain game. I think there was personally that the refereeing was not up to standard in that tournament, and certainly when the hosts were involved. But no. And speaking of that Ronaldo incident, I actually interviewed this week former French defender Frank Leboeuf, who won the '98 World Cup. So do check out the Vavel website, and I will put a link. Check out my Instagram, Andy R. Davis, because I do have the description of it there. And obviously head to Vavel as well, the international football section, and you can hear all about how he had to man-mark Ronaldo when he wasn't meant to start, but because of the Laurent Blanc sending off against Croatia, he stepped in and played. So find out all about his experience of marking Ronaldo in a World Cup final. But one final question before we do go on to our 11 is going to be your favourite World Cup memory.
Favourite? See, that's why I didn't want to say the Beckham one. Oh, because I mean, feels a bit like cheesy. Oh, my favourite's a penalty against Argentina in a tournament we didn't even go on and win. But I did think about this, and you're going to hate me, and you're going to think I'm just saying it for the sake of it. I'm actually going to say Marcus Rashford's free kick against Wales.
That game, that was a...
Because we were already through, and you guys needed to win or hope, and then hope that like USA and Iran drew or something like that. And then, obviously, I love Rashford. Cat's named Marcus. Hope he has a big tournament this summer. I think he really can do well for England. And I was trying to think of a recent memory, and I was like, you know what, that tournament. Obviously, there was a lot of expectation on England, and again, didn't go too far. But yeah, like an amazing free kick. And then the reason I also say favourite memories because his second goal against Wales was England's 100th ever goal in World Cup history. So it does hold some significance.
I actually watched that game in New York. Fun fact. That World Cup, I literally, because I was traveling America for 3 months at that point, it was happened to be on when the World Cup was on. So I really only watched the Wales games. I think I watched one England. I think I watched England USA because it was on a bar in Washington, and then I didn't watch it until the semi-finals when I got back to the UK. But I do remember a good memory of mine, not my favourite, but I do remember watching Wales play USA in the USA, which was quite a fun thing, in a bar in Cleveland. Literally got off the public transport, headed straight to the bar, and there was actually a few Welsh people in there. So there was about 5 or 6 Welsh people, including myself, and then there was about obviously 30, 40 or more Americans. And it was just when they scored, I forget who scored now. I remember the bar going really crazy, and then when we scored, it was a bit more muted, but we were celebrating. I wish I watched it with family, but at the same time, it was to see Wales play in World Cup for the first time, and when that Gareth Bale penalty went in, that was a special memory for me. But my favourite memory has to be 06 final. That's a Dan headbutt. For me, that is just an iconic moment, maybe the most iconic moment in World Cup history. I just think the shock factor, his final game in his career, what he did earlier in that game as well, the goal he scored, and that iconic shot of him walking down the tunnel with the World Cup trophy next to him. I think that for me is still my favourite moment, just because of that. I mean, the final 2022 was the best game I've ever watched. That is a good memory for me, watching that with the family. But for me, yeah, has to be that's a Dan headbutt.
He definitely had if we're talking about favourite memories in terms of players, I think that's the most memorable performance of one individual I've seen to come out of retirement and, drag them to the final. There was some Thierry Henry quote I remember at the time, and it was along the lines of like basically saying, something along the lines of that. You know, if God's, you think God's not real, well, he's just returned to the France national team, and then obviously went and did what he did. So they missed out, losing on penalties. But yeah, Zidane, what a guy! And you look, he still won one and had 2 goals in the final. So not bad in all for an international career.
Exactly, and I'm sure we will mention later on in the episode. Right, goalkeeper. Now, for me personally, I think it's between 3 goalkeepers, and I think there's reasons for all 3. So the 3 I've thought of are Iker Casillas, Gigi Buffon, and Gordon Banks. Now, for Buffon, the reason I want to put him forward is, first of all 3 of them have won a World Cup, and all have won one World Cup. So Italy conceded just twice in the entire 06 tournament, and one was an own goal, one was a penalty. I think about the Casillas save against Robben in the final 2010, such a big moment in that game. And then obviously Gordon Banks, that save against Pele, which many people see as the best in history. So there's 3 there. Obviously, there's one we haven't watched play, but I don't like the idea of just going for players you've seen, because I feel that rules out the all-time element of it. I think you can have a player you've never watched and still pick them. So Gordon Banks, for me, is one of my contenders. And I'm edging towards him just because how good that save was, but I'm wary of doing it just based on one moment. And I think all 3 are iconic moments. I think the best keeper on paper is Buffon, but in terms of World Cup heritage, I'm tempted to go Casillas. But this one I'm really open to suggestions, because I think there's a good case for everyone out of these 3. And of course, you might have someone I've not even thought about.
I do have one, that you haven't mentioned. And the funny thing is, Andy, is that when I texted you before we came on to do this, I actually, to help myself pick, said that I was only going to pick players who I've seen play, and they need to have played in at least 3 World Cups. Ooh. I think to make the all-time team, that is what I've been going through. And I agree, Buffon should be in there. Iker Casillas, that tournament you mentioned, a lot of people forget they were awful against Paraguay, and he saved a penalty from Oscar Cardozo, and then David Villa scored late. So he was monumental in that tournament. And then the name of the person who I am going to throw out there is Fabian Barthez. He holds. I think with Gordon Banks, it might be tied. They hold the clean sheet record for goalkeepers in the World Cup. He was great in '98. And look, whatever you say, he made two finals. Like, he deserves to be in there. I mean, they only let 2 in 7 in '98, and then both times he played against Brazil, he kept a clean sheet as well. Not many people can say that.
I feel like I can't put Barthez in. I struggle to put him in.
Of the 3 you said, I would go Casillas. I would easily agree. Like, I know Buffon is a legend, but Iker Casillas was starting to get some question marks around maybe a year or 2 after that World Cup, even going into that Euro 2012. And I think, to be the captain as a goalkeeper for a start in a team full of so many stars, and we've both then picked up 2 moments throughout a tournament of, pretty sure they lost their opening game to Switzerland as well. And then bounce back to, save that penalty, get them through. And then that save from Robben has got to be one of the most iconic saves. You said that. So I would go with him if we're starting with an agreement. It's not bad.
Yeah, I think I'm expecting some disagreement later on. But I am happy with Casillas. I thought you were going to go Manuel Neuer when you said you had one up your sleeve. But Casillas is one of my favourite ever footballers, let alone goalkeepers. So I'm very happy to have him as a goalkeeper, because I loved Casillas, and I'm still on the search to try and find an Iker Casillas jersey that is legit and not fake. So if anyone can find me an Iker Casillas Spain jersey, then let me know.
I'll have a look.
But no, that is goalkeeper sorted. So Iker Casillas is going into the team. I think that people could argue Hugo Lloris. I think most appearances for a goalkeeper. But I don't think he's anywhere near. And I think he made a mistake for that final, to be fair. So formation-wise, we have gone for, like we did in the last episode, which as Skye mentioned, was the FA Cup final preview, which you can still watch on episode 1. So do check that out if you'd like to. City and Chelsea combined 11. We are once again doing a 4-4-2 diamond formation. So the classic 4-1-2-1-2. So we'll start with right back next. Now, my back four is my left back could go right back. One of my centre back choices go right back. This right back, my first one I'm thinking of, is purely right back. So I've got a lot of flexibility with mine, but I'm curious who you've got at right back.
I've got some flexibility of a centre back who could play right back and a right back who could play midfield. But I feel like I'll lead with the 3 names. So the one who actually is just purely a right back, who I noted down first, is Cafu, right? Absolute legend of the game, stalwart in that Brazil team. I mean, the fact that Gary Neville even had the cheek to compare Trent to him, and I like Trent, by the way, I just mean as in they're completely different players. If you're going to pick an Englishman, maybe a Kyle Walker, someone bombing up and down, overlapping, 90 minutes of just pure, and of course he was Brazilian, he had flair, but also they have a bit of a reputation for not putting a shift in. But Cafu was doing it till he was about 39 or 40, even for AC Milan. So just what he did even in 2002 World Cup, he's in there. My other 2, Lilian Thuram, fantastic defender for France. Another one of those guys who came out of retirement in 06. Obviously won it in 98, had a famous goal in 98 as well in the knockout rounds. And then Philipp Lahm. For me, when you're looking at players, you look at versatility, he probably is going to be in the team somewhere because of how great he was when Germany won it. And in that tournament, he did play DM and right back. But, as the tournament went on, he did fall into that right back position. And another absolute standout. So if you've got any of them down and can help me, that'd be great.
Well, yeah, no, I've got both. So I've got Cafu and Lahm. I mean, I looked at obviously Cafu's career. I will say as well, he's got 2 World Cups, but the one World Cup he was mainly a sub. So I kind of feel like, and the same thing with Ronaldo actually in '94. But he is the most capped ever Brazil player, and he's got a record 20 World Cup games. And he's the only player to play in 3 World Cup finals, which I think is pretty. That's that I heard. I'm sure that's wrong, because I'm sure somewhere someone has played in 3 World Cup finals. And then Lahm for me was someone I really liked because he captain. I think he was captain when they won the World Cup in 2014. I think about the goal he scored as well in the opening game in 2006. And he's in team of the tournament then, but also in 2014, he was on a 10-man shortlist for the Golden Ball, the best player of the tournament award, which for a fullback, I think that's pretty outstanding achievement to do. And then the other one who I could also put centre back, he played both, Carlos Alberto, 1970 winner. And he did score one of the most iconic goals in World Cup history. And he is seen as one of the best ever right backs, one of the best ever defenders. He was part of one of the best ever World Cup teams in history in that 70 Brazil team, was captain as well of that team. And that goal against Italy. If anyone hasn't watched that goal in that final, which they won 4-1, that is one of the best team goals you'll ever see in football. So that's kind of 3. Thuram, if I'm honest, I've forgotten about Thuram, if I'm honest. But Cafu and Lahm and Carlos Alberto were the 3 that I was thinking of at fullback.
It's tough.
Yeah, because you can put Alberto right back and centre back. Cafu is, for me personally, the best right back I've ever seen. But then in terms of World Cup legacy, and I will say actually before we forget, we are basing purely on how they played in World Cups. So for example, there'll be no Ronaldo in my starting 11, and I don't know what Skye's picked, but I've certainly not even considered him. Gareth Bale, sadly, the same thing. So we're basing it purely on how a player performs in a World Cup. So I think all 3 have got valid cases. They've all won one, of course. But it's tough.
I like Lahm for versatility, but if you're looking for a pure right back, I'm going to go with the guy that we watched, right? I would pick Cafu. But it's tough. To be honest, in the formation that I ended up doing, Lahm was in the team, but not right back. Like I couldn't not have Cafu in.
I mean, Cafu, I view as my not favourite, but the best right back I've seen. So maybe we could put, because Lahm left back, I mean, you got Roberto Carlos, but I feel like Lahm, I think, was a better defender. And I know Carlos had all the highlights and the goals, but I think Lahm for me was so versatile, with the captain, was so solid defensively. I think he's got to be in somewhere. And yeah, Cafu, yes. I think maybe we sacrifice Carlos Alberto and put Cafu and Lahm as our fullbacks.
Yeah, actually. Oh, I didn't think we'd be leaving Roberto Carlos out, but you know what? I'm open to suggestion. Why not? I guess out of pure defensiveness, you've convinced me. Yeah, because I had Lahm in midfield, but
interesting.
In the DM, because we spoke about the diamond, obviously, I had him sitting there because I tried to. I think all of these nations that we talk about, Italy, France, Germany, Brazil, you can almost have a team of all of them if you go through history, right? So I was trying to have a nice little balance of like two from each, or trying where I can. But actually, I think as a fullbacks, why not? Not many wingers would get past them.
No, that's a solid two. I mean, both of them have the ability to go forward, but I feel like they'd probably be less. There'd be less of risk. There'd be less of risk to the team. I feel like Carlos, goes forward a lot, but then I think maybe doesn't get back as good as Lahm and Cafu. So maybe that
I agree. Because I think Roberto Carlos, is probably, he's an iconic player and had a fantastic career. But if you're building a team, then like you said, you go for the people who can defend one-on-one and are versatile in their own unique style. So I think the two fullbacks there are pretty solid choices.
Yeah, I think as well, like we're talking about World Cup 11. I mean, Carlos has won a World Cup, but I don't think he has that iconic moment, apart from maybe the goal in the semi-final in 2002, whereas Cafu's got the most World Cup games. Lahm captained the team, shortlisted for Golden Ball, scored that wonder goal in 2006. So I think, maybe I'm trying to base some of mine as well on like iconic moments of World Cup, like what's the word? World Cup, not nostalgia. What's the word? Legacy. World Cup legacy. And I think maybe Lahm and Cafu maybe have a slightly better one. Carlos might do. I don't know, but he was part though of the best ever World Cup advert in 2002. Don't know what that one.
Great reference.
Was it? It was one where it was before a game. Not the airport one was good, but the one before the game where Ronaldinho was Papalos Mambo. It was Brazil against someone. Was it Portugal they were playing? Yeah, it was Portugal because Ronaldo was in it. And I remember that when they go onto the pitch, that for me is the best ever World Cup advert.
If we do it 11 best cameo on TV or advert, Carlos can be in that one.
Pele in I forget what the film is now about the war and the
Escape to Victory.
That's the one. Yeah.
Great movie.
I've never seen it.
Oh, you've got 24 hours to watch it for the World Cup.
I'm more of a goal man myself.
Oh no!
Well, not goal 3. That is an awful film, but certainly the first 2. Like centre back. I've got 3 centre backs here. Or actually, one of them is Carlos Alberto, to be fair. So the other 2 I was thinking of. Cannavaro was one. Captain the World Cup, won a Ballon d'Or that year. But the one I really want to put in, and I feel like for me personally is a absolute certainty, and I want to really get in more than most players in this list. Franz Beckenbauer won it in 1974. Believe me, he actually won 2 Ballon d'Ors in his career, believe it or not, and did win it the same year that I think he won it the same year that he. Oh, he didn't. He won it in 72 and 76. Was also runner-up in 75 and 3rd place in 66. And he's one of 11 players in history to have completed a golden triple of a Ballon d'Or, World Cup, and Champions League or European Cup. Only 11 players have done that in their career, won all 3. Iconic defender, sweeper defender, scored a lot of goals. And obviously part of that, I believe it would have been West Germany at that point rather than Germany. Reached the final 66 as well. And I feel like Beckenbauer.
What happened in that final?
It was a goal that shouldn't have happened. Yeah, it's tough, but I think was Eusebio involved in that tournament? Was there a World Cup trophy stole? I can't remember who won it.
Well, maybe Bobby Moore should be in there. I'll remind you who won it. Yeah, mate. My dad would love for me to be banging that drum. I mean, he was great, obviously, great one-on-one. Even Pele spoke so highly of him. But like I said, while I wasn't going to put anyone who I hadn't seen, I do think that if there's someone that you're going to throw in there, then I mean, Beckenbauer it has to be, because he's probably one of the few players where you actually would have gone and seen clips of him. A bit like a Baresi, Carragher's always talking about him. There are certain people who are amazing who you actually, if you love football, you would have gone to take the time to actually watch them. So yeah, I've seen enough of Beckenbauer stuff because of how much of a legend he is to say, I think that's a fair choice. I do think you said you want him in. I think Cannavaro has to be in. I think in modern football, to win the Ballon d'Or as a defender, and that Italian team was, again, a bit like the France one, wrote off in a different way. Everyone was sort of thinking both squads were old, but Italy, at that point, they hadn't won it since, I'm trying to think, it'd been a while, because obviously they lost in 94.
It was the one, was the iconic celebration as the semi-final, the one that Grosso repeated in 06. What?
Yeah.
Was it 8? Was it? No, Italia 90 was Germany, wasn't it? But
yeah.
86 was Argentina.
86 was Argentina. It's maybe 82.
82, yeah. I want to say it was the one with the guy, I forgot his name, he did that celebration, and I forget.
I saw that Grosso go earlier, by the way. It came up on my Instagram. I mean, what a tournament he had to do that, and then the winning penalty. Maybe Grosso's left. For an iconic moment.
To be fair on that note, since it impacted the final, Materazzi goal in the final, got the best player on the pitch sent off.
Yeah. Italy did win it in 82, so we got there. I was just checking, yeah. They beat West Germany.
Fair. Well, I think that's our back four.
Cannavaro, Beckenbauer. What a centre pairing.
And then Lahm, Cafu, and Casillas. Turns of a back five, that's unbelievable. And yeah, Cannavaro, one last thing on him. I mentioned Buffon earlier on. That's where they only had 2 goals conceded the entire tournament, one being an own goal, one being a penalty. What a penalty that was, by the way. I mean, that also is as much down to your defence as it is your goalkeeper. So, yeah, Cannavaro as well. And yeah, the last defender to win a Ballon d'Or. All I will say, it should have been Van Dijk in 2019. He got absolutely robbed in 2019 of that Ballon d'Or. It was like 7 votes off Messi, which he's been a nearest we've had since to any defender winning a Ballon d'Or. And he did win, I think, FIFA Best Player of the Year, but not Ballon d'Or. But anyway, move on to our midfield, which is, of course, a diamond. And we'll go to the holding midfield first. Skye, who's your nominee?
But Lahm's in, so I don't know. I will say that the other 3 midfielders, I 100% know who they are. But holding mids, that's tough.
Yeah.
I mean, if I'm going to, I mean, admittedly, for anyone watching, I did say to Andrew before I come on that there was 3 positions that could be talked to. What did I say?
You said Andrew. You full named me.
I said Andrew. Well, yeah, sorry.
I heard Andrew, but I
was telling you off. No, I said
Andrew Reese Davis. I'll be in real trouble if you full name me in full. Then yeah.
If I'm because I said I had Lahm there, admittedly, I didn't really think about many other DMs. But if I just think about people over history who would be there, because my other 3 midfielders, we wouldn't really put there. Like you could say a Makelele would be there potentially as one. Sort of revolutionize that position. When you think of what do people always compare them to? Oh, he's the Makelele role. But when a role is named after you, you're pretty bloody good. Kante, again, if we're going to pick another Frenchman, wouldn't, but more recent football fans would throw someone like him out there. But yeah, I really wonder who you've got. This is why I end up putting Lahm at DM, because there were just so many little teams that I was looking through, and I was like, how can I actually separate these defensive midfielders? It was more that they were just like great, but also in a great team. I didn't look at them and see them as like an absolute standout, other than maybe a Makelele. But that is why I had Lahm there. So Are you good? Who have you got? Have you got someone from history?
This is actually the one I found. I was torn between two.
Okay.
One you could put centre mid. One, yeah, and they could play centre mid or holding mid. But because when this player won the World Cup, he wasn't the holding mid. But he could play holding mid, and that's Xavi. 2010 World Cup, were one of the best teams in international football history. I will say they only won one tournament, which sounds, I always think of but I think because they won the 2 Euros, you always think of only one World Cup, and they out of the group stage the following World Cup, quarter final to Brazil, France in the quarters in 2006, and then robbed in 2002. But no, that Spain team was amazing in 2010. But I think I'm going to edge towards my other guy just because Xavi didn't play holding mid in that tournament. It was Busquets.
Yeah.
So the guy.
I think you said Vieira, by the way. Sorry, I just had French players in my head.
See, Vieira literally is my favourite ever non-Liverpool player that isn't Welsh. Generally, I think it's him or Drogba. I think I used to love Vieira so much, but I don't know whether him and McLeody have that World Cup legacy as much as maybe the Xavi and this guy I've got now, which I've got Lothar Matthäus.
I had him down, but didn't. Again, it was like. Them, you've seen them, Bayern legends. But yeah, I mean, look, I think if you were ranking, I would definitely put him over Busquets, because I think if you were doing who is the most versatile defensive midfielder, like elite position, he probably in history could be the best defensive midfielder, Matthäus.
I think
so. I would, out of the two, put him over Busquets. And also, obviously, because if he ever watches this, he lost the 99 Champions League final when Solskjaer scored 2. So he needs another accolade to go in to be in Andy Davis's, all-time World Cup team. So maybe this will make up for for the pain of that.
He won Ballon d'Or that year as well, which I didn't realise until doing my research. But if you are watching Matthäus, then I kind of wish you had won that game, because well, I will say I'm glad I was only 4 when that happened. My dad said it was one of the worst things he ever experienced. Seeing Man U win that final, win a treble in the process. My dad says it's one of the worst things. He says that Joe Jordan's handball for Scotland against Wales,
okay,
and kind of the two things he hates. I mean, obviously there's things like the Michael Thomas goal for Arsenal. More modern times, my thing I still gives you nightmares to this day is a Gerrard slip. But that I'm so glad I was only 4 when they won that game, because that would have been horrendous to watch. But to Matthäus for me, I view him as the best ever holding mid we've ever seen. And I did think about Kante. I did. He was one guy I did think of for that 2018 tournament. He was best player in the world in that position at that time. But I don't know. I just felt like I felt Matthäus had a longer time, at his peak in the World Cup.
Germans though, or we've got to stop after this. But definitely will be more.
To be fair, look at I don't know about you, but my other nominees, I got a couple of Germans in my honourable mentions up front, but I haven't got anyone else German, to be fair. So I think
we've got one more.
Do you reckon? But I think where I'm thinking you're going with this,
you could put Xavi. I don't think he's a DM, but he is in my other 3 midfielders.
Okay, so interesting. Okay, so
do you want to discuss the other midfielders? Do you want to change your?
Let's go for it, because Xavi was one I had for holding mid, but I had other players down. I thought we have mentioned one earlier. I mean, get Zidane out of the way. I mean, Zidane is one.
Yeah, I'm still adamant to this day that if they win that 2006 World Cup, for me, he's the best player I've ever seen. And I know people talk about Messi and Ronaldo, and rightfully so, but he could, the pace, the power, header, touch, his whole career was just, c'est magnifique. But Zidane is just for me, you talk about people who when it's your team, he's probably my favourite non-United or England player. Adored him as a kid. The Real Madrid TV when Beckham went there. It's like Zizou, Beckham, the Galacticos. But just what he did for France. is amazing. And yeah, he's obviously going to be in both of our teams. He's there.
I think in terms of like best ever World Cup players, just in general, he might be in that top three.
Yeah.
A couple of things we're going to mention later on, but I think about my memory. My best memory of him in a World Cup is in the '98 final, which he did score 2 goals in. I was too young, but my memory was not even just Panenka in the final, but that performance he had against Spain in the quarterfinals. Considering, like you said before, came out of retirement for the tournament, and they came off the last World Cup they had the worst ever defense of a World Cup at that point, maybe ever you could argue, but certainly at that point no one had really done what they done in terms of winning a World Cup and going out in a group stage, and to come back and then, but yeah, that quarterfinal against Spain when he was retiring at the end of that year, old man in football terms, the performance he did against what was a young Spain midfield of Iniesta and Xavi, but what he did in that game was unbelievable. So yeah, I think Stan has to be in. Of course, won a Ballon d'Or the same year he won a World Cup. We have got a friend here. We got a little friend here.
Marcus obviously agrees with the Zizou choice.
Oh yeah. He I think he's big Zizou fan by the sounds of it.
He has to be. And like you said, I remember that final. We were talking about that earlier with the memories of the 2 headers, but the Brazil game as well. Like, it was just every knockout game he turned up, right? That Brazil team.
It was Brazil. If Spain, France beat. No, it might be Brazil actually, not Spain. It was a quarterfinal. Whoever they played in the quarterfinal, I thought it was Spain, but maybe
they played both. But
yeah, because
I think they played both because they had a really hard run to the final. I was not taking anything away from Italy, but like Brazil were going, past. They definitely. I'm trying to think if they did play Spain. They played
2006.
They played Portugal in the semis. I only know that because I was reading about Barthez earlier.
I remember there was a 1-0. Henry scored the winner from a free kick.
Oh, that was against Brazil.
That was
from Zidane's free kick.
So they played. So Spain, yes, Spain won, lost 3-1 to France, and then France beat them 1-0. It actually might have been Spain in the round of 16. Either way, one of those 2 games, I remember him just being unbelievable, and that was my first. Because the World Cup 2002, I mentioned that earlier, I only remember it in bits, whereas that 2006 tournament, I remember that entirely in full. So yeah, no, I just remember that, seeing that performance, being like wowed by it in that game. So yeah, I think Zidane is a must.
Yeah.
And you have to then get the other man in. Now, who else did you have in your midfield? Because I got one here that could be a striker, could be a midfielder or attacking midfielder. I
could only put Xavi in if I put Iniesta in, and I was doing vice versa, and I was chopping and I was changing, and I started looking at stats, and basically they are identically the same, right? One is not great without the other, and I guess the edge is that Iniesta scored the winning goal in that final, but Xavi played the most minutes. He was always Spain's key man. Because of dictating the tempo of the game and just being able to, break the lines like a lot of players can't. We see that. So I had them both in because I just couldn't choose, which is why when you said Busquets, I was like, we can't have all 3.
No.
I mean, I don't think you could have one or the other. One without the other, sorry.
Yeah. I mean, they were a great duo. I mean, they say Ant and Deco are a good duo. This might be a bit
Well, I'm pretty sure Xavi and Iniesta are going to host the Spanish I'm a Celebrity.
Can you imagine? That'd be amazing. Yeah, I mean, yeah. I think for me, there's people like, Rivellino, Socrates. There's 2 guys that I think. The one guy I'm worried we're going to miss out on is Johan Cruyff.
Yeah.
And then also, I don't want to say he didn't win it because then I can't ever say Gerrard can be in the starting 11 of a Premier League team. Cruyff is one. I think personally it goes Messi, Maradona, Pele, Ronaldo is the best 4, but I think the next best 2 are Zidane and Cruyff. I think that 6, Cruyff is probably in that, for me personally, in that top 6. You can put it in different orders what you want, but I think they're clear 6 for me. Maybe not clear, but Cruyff, from a player point of view, when he had the Cruyff turn in the World Cup, I believe it was the 74 World Cup, he did that Cruyff turn, which is an iconic moment. Then he didn't win it. And then you got, and then the guy really, I think, has to go in. Even though I will say only really one good tournament, but what tournament it was. Maradona. But Maradona for me, which Mike, I don't know whether you got him in because of your English ties, but
it's going to sound mad. I didn't even think of him because, like you said, like, no, I did. But what I mean is, I didn't consider him. But because now that I think about what you're saying, obviously this is the purpose to bounce. Like for DMs, for me, still, it's got to be either Mateus or Makelele, right? They revolutionized that position. If you did leave Xavi and Iniesta out, that's fine. Zidane's there. Cruyff is a good. If there's any man who hasn't won the World Cup who deserves to be in, it's him. Again, we're talking about like people naming things are like it's the Cruyff turn. Come on. So he's definitely got a shout.
I mean, Bale's got to be one of the ones you've got to think about. Best to not win it. Aaron Ramsey, Joe Ledley, Robson Kanu,
Beckham,
yeah. I mean, I think Cruyff is that man, isn't he? Best to never win it. Probably is Cruyff. I mean,
so he'd be the 10. He'd be at the top of the diamond.
I mean, we're forgetting Ronaldo, of course. Ronaldo probably is. They are the best two. I think them two. I think Ronaldo probably is that, but Cruyff. But like talent-wise, I think he's a better. I think he's a better footballer than Ronaldo at times. But I think Ronaldo is obviously the best ever goal scorer in football history. But I think in terms of talent, oh my god.
If I basically, when I did the first draft, when you asked me, if I was looking at the players who I'd think of, then I would have gone Xavi at the DM and just been like, whatever, Iniesta, Zidane and Messi. But I do also think to a degree, of course, Messi's the best player ever. But in World Cups, like he hasn't always been he hasn't really ever had any great games. If you think, if someone in the comments name me an iconic moment, I think he scored a 1-0 win in 2014 against someone, and then
I think it was it Nigeria?
Yeah, that's a good shout. I think it was Nigeria.
Well, but I didn't even have Messi. Messi wasn't in my thing because he won the World Cup in 2020, which I loved, best ever final in history. He only had 2 goals for open play in that tournament. The Ballon d'Or, that should have been Haaland. Haaland should have won that Ballon d'Or, win a treble and score 50 goals, whatever it was. Messi did not deserve the Ballon d'Or.
But I would rather. I actually really would rather Cruyff over Maradona and Messi, just because like
Maradona for me, he had the most controversial moment in World Cup history and the best football goal in history in the same game against England in '86. I mean, he single-handedly won that World Cup for Argentina in '86. I mean, looking at his time in the World Cup.
Did he play in '90? I'm sure he did, didn't he? Because it was just before he scored around his Napoli days.
Yeah, so they got to the final, but looking at he didn't have anywhere near the impact he had in '86, and obviously '94 was the one where he got sent home. But he had 5 goals and 5 assists in that '86 tournament. 3 of those assists were in one game on their first game. Scored twice in the semi-final, and one of them is a great goal against Belgium. That unbelievable goal. I don't think that's shown enough. And then he set up the winning goal for the final as well against West Germany. And I found a stat about this. In terms of that '86 tournament, he attempted or created more than half of Argentina's shots, attempted a tournament best 90 dribbles, 3 times more than any other player, and whilst being the most fouled player in a record 53 times, won twice as many free kicks as any other player, scored or assisted 71% of their goals, including that assist for the final. So I think, for me personally, I know it was only really one tournament because he did struggle in '86. In '82. Before that, I think he was man-marked out of the game in the quarterfinal.
He was injured in '94 as well, or '9. Like he did this one. It is one tour. Look, one tournament. He still won the World Cup, but
but I feel like for the goal, even just that goal alone against England, the one where I think, I think it's the best goal in history. I think it won goal of the century as well.
Do you want me to throw someone rogue out there who I did have down?
Not actually. I was going to say before we do that, goalkeepers. We never mentioned Ochoa from Mexico.
Ted Mosby.
That is iconic. Ted Mosby, did you say?
You looked at Ted Mosby.
Ted Mosby.
You never seen the comparisons?
No.
Ochoa looks just like him.
What, Ochoa?
Yeah, the Mexico goalie with the curly hair, right?
Ted Mosby and
type it in.
That can't be right.
I swear.
That's actually quite. I never thought about that.
You have to get the image up when this goes.
Yeah,
just
I'm going to put it in now. I'm going to put it in now. That's unbelievable.
I've got a rogue name in midfield, and it's not rogue to the modern football fan, but I was thinking about, like you said, people who were amazing in a tournament. Are you ready?
Go on.
Mesut Ozil.
Oh, that's a good shout.
He was unbelievable in 2014.
Yeah,
and I know it was a very team effort, and Lahm was the one. But like, because I was saying to you, I was picking players who I've seen and this and that. I was like, look, he had his critics, right? When he was in the Premier League.
Me being one.
But in terms of like the magic that he did in that tournament, and I think his assist in that play against Brazil, he's not going to be in there, but he was. He played on the left the whole tournament because of an injury to Marco Reus. He didn't even play in the 10.
I'd completely forgotten that. He played the left wing. Because my memory actually more of him is in 2010. I remember that England 4-1. Just how good he was.
Again with the England guy.
You can tell if you can't tell, especially with the background.
When he jogged past Gareth Barry, the two slowest men I've ever seen on a football pitch racing.
Barry was underrated. I think Barry was.
No, he's overrated. He was in the team over Carrick, but let's not even go into that.
No, Carrick was better, but I think Barry was, did so many of the unnoticed stuff, like Jordan Henderson. But obviously, I think Henderson was better. But I think Barry was underrated, and there's a reason why he played in the league for so many years. But that's by the by. We got Zidane as a lock, and then
I don't know who to pick.
Because then I feel like Maradona has to be in. So I feel like he has to be in this team. I feel like he just has to be.
Like Maradona or Messi have to be in. That one of like.
I don't think Messi should be in because
I would go Maradona over Messi.
Messi was dog water in 2010. I remember him being absolutely dog water. 2014, he wasn't too bad. And obviously that World Cup. And I will say that his performance in the final was really good. But I think he only got 2 goals open play. I just think, obviously, if we're doing an all-time 11 from football history, he's the first name on the team sheet. Best footballer I've ever seen, best footballer of all time. But I think getting World Cup, he's had a lot of bad.
Maradona had the more iconic moments, like you said, the England goal, doing what he did, carrying a team where, let's be honest, could many people name you anyone else from that Argentina team in '86? Probably not. I think I can put my Englishness aside just because I saw Beckham's penalty yesterday, the redemption, as you mentioned at the beginning, and say that, I think we've picked a lot of people on moments, so maybe Maradona is there.
And then, because I had him personally as like the cam in the diamond formation.
Yeah, Maradona, Zidane.
Yeah, because just purely because who I've got as my attackers, I have to get him in somewhere. And then we've got.
Surely Iniesta's got to go in as well. Then, sorry for moments.
So do we go Mateus, Zidane, Iniesta, Maradona?
Yeah.
So we leave out Cruyff, which I feel bad about, but and like I said before, there's people like Socrates and Rivellino from the old days, that Brazil team.
Zico,
so
many.
You could put someone like Bastian Schweinsteiger, or
even,
I don't think
that same even Dunga would have been a good DM.
Dunga,
if you were picking a pure DM and we're going and you want to, he would have been a guy.
although I can't think whether was it him or Scolari who was in charge for the 7-1. I think about
Dunga was in charge earlier than that, maybe like 06.
Oh, maybe 2010 actually.
Or 2010, yeah, when they lost to Netherlands.
Yeah, that's right. It was. Oh my God, who's the guy who scored? I remember someone scored. What was the score in that game? Because I've had this weird memory of like a random.
Did Wesley Schneider score a header?
Who? Sorry,
Schneider.
I can't remember. I seem to remember Lewis. Oh, there's like a random Brazilian player who scored.
Filippo Melo got a red.
That was it. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking of. Melo, yeah, not the goal, the red card.
I think they were already losing at that point, but he got a red, and I'm pretty sure that Wesley Schneider scored a header. A small man on the pitch popped up with a header. But again, Mateus is probably the best DM ever. He's won the World Cup. He's in. Maradona, like you said, best goal ever. Look at even Gary Lineker, who played in that game. He always talks about how iconic, Maradona is and how amazing it was to share the pitch with him and his influence. So, yeah, Zidane, we both agreed on. And then, I just think it's hard to leave. If you're going to pick any modern midfielder, like, there's only a handful who have, like, been able to contend in the Ronaldo Messi era. And Iniesta is, like, as in, like, to be up for individual awards. Like, Kaká is great. Internationally, it's not going to happen. But Iniesta, to score the winning goal from in that Spain team. Yeah.
I mean, you've got, Andy King, Johnny Williams. You could put in there. And
another person, again, but he didn't win. Like, Modric would be in there.
Yeah, Modric is a great shout. Reach a final, for a team that,
I think he played in 4 World Cup. He didn't. Yeah, 2010 didn't, but I think he played in 4.
Yeah, I mean that's going to be in terms of this summer. The players who played in the last World Cup: Ronaldo, potentially Messi, Modric, Son. There's so many iconic players who played in their last tournament. It's quite special. Now,
are you happy with that 4?
Yeah. Now I will say I've got 3 forwards who I think all have got legitimate cases.
Okay.
I don't know whether if you feel any of these should be maybe take one out to put these we'll see if we get on. I mean, I got three forwards who I think should all be in. On I think there's one. It's going to be one that's very obvious and a clear one, but I got three ones I thought. Obviously, you might have some that I've not thought about. So this obviously this could be up for debate. We'll see how we get on. So we'll go on to our front 3 now. I think there's 3 I've got thinking, but I want to see who you've got.
So we've got to find 2 places top.
Yeah, I mean, so
I've got 2 names. I think one of them you're definitely not going to have in, as in like you're going to think of him, but just something that you said earlier when we were talking about a certain country. I think you're going to rule him out. But
I mean, I think the obvious one I imagine you probably got is Pele.
No, because I didn't see him play.
Of course, yeah, of course. I mean, Pele for me.
He made up half his goals, didn't he?
Maybe for club level, but I think, I think internationally. I mean, he's got the most World Cups of any player. He's still tied even now as the 6th most World Cup goals. In history. Won the World Cup at 16? And
I'm going to get rinsed for this. I'd have Mbappe over Pele.
Look, Mbappe was one of mine. Mbappe was one of the guys I thought of. And I'll get
only because he's still playing and still young. I can't do it. But well,
the thing is, Mbappe's tied with Pele, and that's amazing. He's had 2 tournaments. He's already 6 off having the all do. He's only 4 off closest record. It's incredible. I mean, you think about. I mean, 2018, he had a great tournament. But that hat trick in the final, only the second player to ever do it, score a final and a hat trick, in that game as well.
Don't forget Jeff Hurst. Shout out Jeff.
I mean, one of his goals isn't a goal in my opinion. But then you think about, he scored 2 goals in a very crucial game in the group stage for France. There was quite a recent trend of teams winning a World Cup and not doing well the next tournament. France in 2002, Italy 2010, Spain 2014, and Germany 2018. These teams who are going in as reigning champions going out in the group stage. And obviously they got to a final, and that goal helped them advance. Have 12 goals in 2 tournaments. Youngest Frenchman to score a goal in the World Cup. The second teenager to score more than 1 goal in a World Cup match after Pele. And then the second player to ever score a hat-trick. But then Pele, for me personally, you think about, he scored a hat-trick in the semi-final against France, 2 goals in the final against Sweden, they were actually in the final, incredible. And there's that goal he scored where he sort of flicks it over defender and volleys it in, iconic. There was an iconic moment where he scored against Italy in a different World Cup final. The iconic pictures of him celebrating those goals. So for me, they are, 2 players that No, I've got one more, but I want to give you a chance to put someone forward. I didn't want to hog the attack, but I've got one.
No. Well, my 2, so I didn't consider Pele just simply because of, like I said, not seeing him play. Mbappe was there, but I was like, he's currently playing. I'm not going to put him in. So, original Ronaldo.
He was my other guy.
Old enough to have seen him like in his peak, and then to have that redemption in terms of, like, we spoke about the mystery of what happened in the 98 final. He has 2 really bad knee injuries, turns up at O2, question marks, with that famous haircut. Obviously scores in the final. One of the only mistakes Oliver Kahn's probably made in his career. But R9 is there. And then I just think for me to not mention Miroslav Klose, the one we're saying about a lot of Germany players, like, he is the top scorer all time. And it's not even a case of, he's never going to have the, the swagger of, the R9 we mentioned, or a Messi, but like, was it 16 goals across 4 tournaments? And I'm sure the stat I read was he didn't even score a hat-trick. So it wasn't even like that he was just getting them, like in one game. Like, he was just a consistent guy, not the most gifted striker you'll ever see, but again, and I mentioned this stat to you, I think, a while back when maybe we were texting Champions League final. No player has ever won the Golden Boot twice at the World Cup. So for anyone to be consistently in their career still going to World Cups and scoring goals, and a winner, as we've said, in 2014, like, R9 and Klose were the 2 that I had down with Mbappe. He'll be there when he's retired.
Yeah.
Especially if they win another one. I mean, not this year, obviously, because it's coming home, but maybe 2030.
I think generally Mbappe might beat that record this tournament. I think there's definitely a world where he could score 4 goals in a tournament and equal Klose's record. Klose for me, he was definitely my honourable mentions. I just felt like maybe, I think that Ronaldo, Pele, and Mbappe maybe were better footballers, but also maybe, I don't know, Klose got the record, but I don't remember any games where I don't remember him scoring many winners. I don't know. I feel like for moments, obviously breaking the record is one, and I think he scored in that 7-1. I think that's the game where he broke the record. Actually, it might have been that 7-1 against Brazil. I personally feel like Pele should be a lock. Personally, I feel like, and I think Ronaldo the same thing. I think for me personally, Ronaldo and Pele should be in our team regardless. I just feel like Pele's won the most World Cups, and obviously was seen by many people as the best player of all time until, Ronaldo and Messi came onto the scene. And maybe Maradona, you could argue that. But I think kind of the worldwide status he had in a time where people only watched him every 4 years in a World Cup, and the moments he had, and everyone knows who Pele is, even those who don't watch football will know the name Pele. Same with like people like Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo. I feel like,
but he didn't even win a Golden Boot, Pele.
But he won 3 World Cups, and I feel like
one of them he was 16, the other one he was injured. No, he played in one.
I will say he missed a final, but he was part of 3 teams that won.
Everyone's gonna think I'm a Pele hate. I just like, get ready, more things to clip up. Mbappe, I picked Thomas Muller over Pele.
No way.
He always turned up.
Muller was great. I think Muller was really a really good player, but over Pele, no chance.
Give me Gary Lineker as well.
No. No player who soils himself on a football pitch should be in our starting 11.
Obviously Pele's Pele, but like I can't like even have it. I'd have Messi over Pele.
No. I'd have him over Messi, over Pele as a footballer in general. But in terms of World Cup legacy, I think Pele.
The only thing I remember about Pele is that Bobby Moore tackle when they were 1-on-1. The rest I don't really. We still lost that game, but
what, in escape to victory or in real life?
No, in the real like and that probably as well.
Oh no, I just think you can't have a World Cup without mentioning Pele. I feel like when you think of World Cup, you probably do think of Pele. Some people would, but I
don't. Clearly.
Oh my god.
We thought the midfield was tough. Right. You can't have two Brazilians. Would you pick Pele over R9?
I'd have both. I'd have both. I think I'm happy to sacrifice Mbappe if it means having Pele.
How many have we got? I'm trying to think who we've got from each country. We've got two Spanish players.
Yeah, we've got Casillas and Iniesta from Spain. We've got Mateus and Beckenbauer from Germany. Zidane from France, Maradona Argentina, Cannavaro Italy, and then Cafu and only one Brazilian so far. I think we'll also have a second one somewhere here, but I just think you can't not have.
Maybe you're allowed 3 Brazilians. At the end of the day, I was going to jokingly call you Andrew again, even though I'm sure it was Andrew before watching. But at the end of the day, Andrew, it's your podcast. You can have Pele in there, but just let it be known he's not in mine.
To be fair, in a world of in a fair world, fair speech, we get one each. You get Ronaldo, I get Pele, and I'm.
Oh wait, no, I'll go closer. No, I'm joking.
No, I mean close is actually a fair shout.
No, you're right though. There's not R9's got iconic moments.
Yeah, I mean the World Cup. I mean just the whole thing before the '98 final alone is iconic. But then you think about the haircut, the player of the tournament in '98. Obviously, he also broke the goal record as well in 2006. So he also did what Klose did, only one goal behind him. For me, I feel like these two have to be in because Brazil have won it the most times. They won it the most times out of any country as well. They deserve to have the most players in the starting 11.
Cruyff over Pele, if that helps.
I mean, I'd have Mbappe over Iniesta personally and make it a 4-3-3. But then,
now we're getting into it. You could take Pele out for Mbappe.
No, I mean the way Mbappe's going, if he wins another World Cup, I think he's getting closer towards that in terms of World Cup status.
And I see the thumbnail now. Angry 35-year-old Englishman hates on Pele for 10 minutes.
That'll just be the title. Guys, Pele hate watch.
I reckon. Let it be known. I reckon I could have got a few goals back then as well in those teams. If he only played one and won 3 of them, I could have a World Cup medal surely.
Actually, fun fact. Actually, he didn't get his medal in '62 until 2007. Did you know that?
No. Why? What happened? Lost in the mail.
There's 2 facts I found out. The first one is he missed the final through injury, and back then, if he didn't play in the final, he didn't get a medal. But then years later, these rules and regulations changed. I believe it was in the 90s it changed, but then he got his medal in 2007. So incredible, really. And then, did you know as well? Fun fact: when he was playing Brazil, the Brazilian Federation did not allow shirt numbers for players, so he got given a number 10 shirt by FIFA rather than Brazil. There was a whole thing about it with the Brazilian Federation against FIFA. That FIFA allowed them to wear number 10, but Brazil wouldn't initially allow that.
I'm being a bit harsh on him because was it 62 when he got injured?
Yeah. But he still played most of that tournament before.
And at that point, he was probably the best player in the world. So I'm being a little. And look, the Ronaldo Messi debate is the same as Pele Maradona. If Maradona's in, then Pele should be in. I'll hold my tongue.
And one final fact on Pele, until 2022, he was the last person to knock Wales out of a World Cup. He scored in a 1-0 win for Brazil against Wales, which sent Wales home, and then still actually haven't scored a goal from open play since in a World Cup. Wales, we had one goal in the whole tournament, and it was a penalty. But still,
just to confirm, we are talking about Pella, right? The one who used to play for Southampton, the Italian guy.
What guy? what I'd give to trade how we look.
Yeah. Well, he's got that over Pele and over a few players, that's for sure.
Absolutely, certainly over. Dan's got that aura, but I think certainly certainly like I know he's not on his list, but Wayne Rooney, I think certainly.
Why is Rooney catching?
Nice to see your home fans booing you. Now there was a couple of players I had honourable mentions, the likes of Paolo Rossi and Garincha, but the one guy I think I could have easily mentioned was Gerd Muller, German legend, goal scoring machine. But no, I think I'm happy with this team. I think
it's not a bad team.
So you've got Iker Casillas in goal, back four of Cafu, Beckenbauer, Cannavaro, and Lam. 4-4-2 diamond of Mateus holding mid, Zidane and Iniesta at centre mid, and then Maradona just off Pele and Ronaldo, the Brazilian Ronaldo, not the Portuguese Ronaldo.
Real Ronaldo.
Exactly, the original Ronaldo. And also, amazingly, neither Cristiano or Messi are in our team, which, if you're doing any other team involving Champions League or all-time 11s, these two get in easily.
Yeah.
The World Cup, they never seem to really do it. Although, having said that, this summer, you never know. Messi wins a second World Cup or Ronaldo wins a World Cup. Things could change. I don't think, personally, he'll have the impact. I don't think either will, to be honest. I think both will go out.
I think Portugal could win it, but I don't, it's going to be more of a team. The midfield, we spoke about this off there. It's more the balance of the team than Ronaldo.
Yeah, I think Portugal, actually, I said it wrong. Portugal, I think, could go to the final. That midfield, unbelievable. João Neves, Vitinha, Bruno Fernandes. It's a great midfield. And I think as well, there will be a little bit of this team trying to do it for Jota as well. There'll be a little bit of...
Very true.
I think there'll be a little bit of, they won the Nations League last year. So they got the history of... They've recently won something, albeit it is a fraudulent trophy. But I think there'll be a little bit of... unity in the team to try and do it for him.
And extra spirit and camaraderie
I think Ronaldo's last tournament as well. I mean, I'm hoping we get Ronaldo Messi. It's possible though we could get Ronaldo against Messi in the quarters. That for me would be
the most watched game ever. Would you say, Andy? Probably, surely.
Yeah, I think especially non-finals. I think personally they're both. I think personally they're both going to retire after the tournament, or certainly they're not going to be there 4 years later. I think it's one final great game between them two, and I think it'll be quite an even match. I think Portugal would win, but then, in terms of the best footballing rivalry of our era, the Djokovic, Nadal, Federer kind of comparison, I think it's arguably the two best players of all time against each other for one final time. I think that would be. I think everyone who watches football and has done for like the last 20, 30 years would find a way to watch it no matter what. Cancel plans. I think it would be must watch TV. I think it really would.
Do you want to know the best part about if that game happens?
Ooh.
I can tell you.
Will be Bruno Fernandes against Enzo Fernandez or Alexis?
No, well, whoever wins that, they would have the right to lose to England in the semi-final. So bring it on.
I will say I think England could beat Argentina, but I don't think they beat Portugal. But
no, we're cursed against them, and don't do this to me. We've had enough, little digs throughout. I'll start crying on the.
Well, both teams. You got the Ronaldo wink or the hand of God. Either way, there's been both these teams have caused some heartbreak for.
Great.
Portugal. Actually, fun fact. Portugal in 2004 helped me get a signed signature from Peter Schmeichel and many other match of the day people. So back in 2004, this is back when I did support England in tournaments. I was really annoyed they lost to England with the Sol Campbell. They beat England with the Sol Campbell disallowed goal.
Yeah,
should have been a goal. So I, as a 10-year-old, I wrote to the BBC and told them they should sack the referee.
What?
And I did it in my own writing, so they could obviously tell I was a child. And then they sent me back. I've still got it in my bedroom at home. I'm going to try and find it and show it to you, but one time. But literally, they sent me back about a fortnight later this like letter saying, "Oh, unfortunately, we're not in a position to, to do that. But here's something for you." It had like all the match of day pundits had like signed
That's
photos. And, like,
amazing.
Gary Lineker, Alan Hansen, Mark Lawrenson, Peter Schmeichel, Garth Brooks or Crooks. Who else? There was loads of people there. Like
Two Liverpool legends there as well. Look at that.
I think Peter Schmeichel's one of them, but there was so many more. I think John Motton might have even done one. Yeah, I've got to find a picture and I'll next go home and send it to you because it's in my like prized possession. It's like probably my most prized possession of anything, apart from maybe a Van Dijk signed photo. But no, literally, like, yeah, I couldn't believe it. I still forget sometimes that I've had that, but yeah, no, it's amazing. Yeah, that was a nice way to end the show. And yeah, thank you for everyone who has listened to episode 2, and do let us know when you put our social media graphic out of what you think of the team, and of course in the comments on this podcast, let us know as well your take on our team. But Skye, first of all, thank you again for coming on.
Thank you for having me on. It's always a pleasure. Obviously, anyone who watches Andy knows all the great content he does in the NFL season, but also with his football stuff as well. So appreciate you watching. Appreciate you listening to us ramble. But it was a good ramble. And I think we've come up with a strong 11. And not one that can really be disputed as well. So be intrigued to see what the comments say.
Yeah, I think CS1 might cause some comments because of, I think people love Buffon and people will point to him.
We've got the facts to back it up, though.
So yeah, exactly. And yeah, as Skye mentioned, of course, I do. For those who don't know, I do a lot of NFL content. That is my kind of main baby when it comes to podcasts. This is kind of a new podcast, but me and Skye have done a lot of stuff together at media events, whether it's London or abroad. We've even stayed together in Madrid and had a good time there. Even got to a little after game event in Madrid, and saw Thogden. I had a chat with Thogden actually in that queue to get in. But no, yeah, we've had some good
times. A Rihanna tribute act.
Oh my god, yeah, that was I felt like quite a weird event. I was so tired.
I have to admit, I might have had a few that maybe convinced myself that it was Rihanna for a split second, but it wasn't. Unfortunately, it was not.
Could have been. You never know what she's doing. But no, obviously do. If you are an NFL fans watching this podcast, do check out both me and Skye's content. But Skye, you've also just recently, you obviously do your own podcast. You're part of the Franchise Tag podcast, the Pat's Pal podcast. Got your own social media channel, which I will put in the comments on this video. But also you have started a new podcast called The Limits. Tell the audience all about that and where they can find it online.
Oh, wow. It's the first time I'm going to plug it. What a setup this is. Well, yeah, obviously I've gone with the really cheesy name, Sky's the Limit, through the duration that we've known each other, Andy. But yeah, with the way that all short form content seems to be taking over now, I thought I'd launch The Limit and have it to be just quick takes about stuff in the world of sport. So had the NFL stuff with the Super Bowl, which we're both, very fortunate to be there for the week of the build up of that. And with the World Cup, thought it was the perfect time to launch it and get round to it. There'll be, like I joked, go and look at the Limit podcast. Sky's the Limit, you'll find it. But it could be one episode, it could be 1,000. But anyone who tunes in and comes to see, really appreciate it. Same username on TikTok and Instagram as well. And let's do my predictions right about Spain, Portugal, or England winning it. I don't past any 3 of those teams.
I think I was convinced it'd be a Spain-France final. Then I think I looked at the thing and the kind of schedule of games. I think they're going to potentially play in the semi-final. Yeah. So I think will be, personally, my pick is going to be Spain and France is tough. I think it depends if Lamine Yamal is fully fit, Spain could beat France. But I think if he's got his injury problem still, then that could be a problem. I think
they don't have an out-and-out striker. That's the only question mark on them.
I think they're playing either Marino or
is a
I don't know how you say his name, but him in the Euros. So I think it'll be a France-Portugal final. That's my pick. I think ultimately France will win it. But those listening, wherever you are in the world, hope you enjoy the World Cup, and come on Scotland and come on the Netherlands. They're the ones I want to win. But otherwise,
what about Sweden? You got the Sweden shirt on.
Sweden, to be fair, for Graham Potter, he's the first ever football person I ever interviewed in my journalism career. And I've always liked him. I've always had always had a soft spot for him.
Managed Swansea, who you love as well.
He did manage Swansea, yeah, Brighton, caused the downfall of Chelsea, and got into World Cup without winning a qualifying game. So he's got a quite unique CV. But no, this has been the Starting Lineups podcast. Hope you all enjoyed, and we'll see you guys next time. Take care.